Today, you are going to learn how you can make your own natural medicine to treat diarrhea. Because after the grid goes down, you will get the tummy tornadoes. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you or a loved one develop diarrhea and you just can't run down to the nearest pharmacy for medicine for it, this video may be an answer for you. So let's now jump straight into how you can make your own natural medicine to treat diarrhea in a grid down situation. Come on, let's go. So what we're going to make today is going to be a decoction from the bark of these white oak trees that just grow wild all over my property. And this video is just one video in a whole playlist that I am doing on how natural medicines can be made in a grid down emergency situation. And I'm going to consume on video every natural medicine that I make so that you can see that they didn't kill me. Now let's get on with it. So first, why exactly is the bark from oak trees so good to treat diarrhea? Well, first, it's astringent, so when you drink it, it can tighten your digestive tract, helping to reduce excess fluid loss. It's also anti-inflammatory, which can reduce the inflammation in your intestinal lining, which can ease the irritation associated with diarrhea. And it's also antimicrobial, which means if you have some kind of a nasty little bug inside of you that's causing your diarrhea, this may kill it, which means that your diarrhea stops. Now, I've seen a lot of different people harvest tree bark in different ways. But in my research, one of the things I kept coming across is that you don't want to harvest the bark from the trunk of a tree, because that can end up opening the tree to disease or infection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prune off some of these branches that are about as big around as my pinky or maybe a little bit smaller. And it's from those branches that I prune off that I will harvest the inner bark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prune off several of these small branches. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to scrape off this outer bark from these tree branches that I harvested. And what I'm trying to expose is the green cambium inner bark. With all the research that I've done, supposedly the tannin that's inside of the bark is most concentrated in the cambium, or the inner layer of the bark. Okay, now since I got the outer layer bark pretty much scraped away, now I'm just going to continue scraping until I get about a handful of this inner cambium layer bark. And I'm just going to scrape it down until it starts reaching the really white colored wood underneath. Just a handful. And again, everything that I've read says that it's this inner bark that has all the tannins in it that is the medicinal use for humans. Don't do this on a windy day. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this inner cambium bark that I harvested into this cup of water. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this cup of water over the fire and let it come to a boil. Now what I'm making is a decoction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it boil until it reduces in half in volume. I guess to simplify it, once it comes to a boil, once it boils halfway away, then it'll be done. What this is doing is this is leaching all of that tannin out of that bark and into the water, and then as the water boils down, it makes it stronger. All right, I'll see you back when this boils down into half. Okay, now since this has had enough time to boil long enough that it's now reduced in half, I'm now going to remove it from the fire so it can start cooling down. And now since it's had time to cool down just for a few minutes, now I'm going to strain the bark from the decoction now by pouring it into this jar through this little strainer. And you can see how what started out as crystal clear water is now this really golden amber, whatever color you want to call it. But you can see how much that bark now, those tannins in that bark has leached into this water. And now since I've made this natural medicine and I've poured it into this jar, now I'm going to drink it. If you really want to take control of your medical prepping, you can get this book that I wrote that has over 400 pages of simple recipes of how you can make natural medicine after the grid goes down from the common trees and plants that grow around you. If you have high cholesterol or high blood pressure or high blood sugar, there's recipes in this book for you. I wrote this book to be a potential lifesaver for when the grid goes down and you don't have access to professional medical help. And at the time of me filming this insert, it has over 400 pages and costs about 25 bucks. But if you don't want to pay 25 bucks for a physical copy of this book, there is also an ebook version that only runs about $10, and I will put a link to both of these down below so you can check them out if you want to. And if you don't want to learn how to make your own natural medicine, then you should check out Jace Medical, because through Jace you can get a year's worth of your prescription medicines up front. That way if the grid ever goes down, then you will already have a year's worth of your cholesterol medicine or whatever medication that you're on already stockpiled. And through Jace Medical, you can also get a stockpile of antibiotics also. For me and my family, I do both. I am learning how to make natural medicines, plus I also have the Jace case. And again, I'll put a link to all of these down below. Now let's get back to the video. It doesn't taste too bad. It tastes just a little bit like wood, for lack of better terms. Just an earthy flavor, I guess. Now, I don't have the tummy tornado, so I'm not going to drink this whole cup. However, if I did have diarrhea, I would actually drink this whole thing. But I don't want to have the opposite effect. Since I don't have diarrhea, I don't want to have the opposite effect where I might not be able to use the restroom for 2 or 3 days. Now let's talk dosages for this. If I did have the tummy tornadoes, the green apple trots, I would drink 2 cups of this per day. I would drink 1 cup earlier in the day and then 1 cup later in the day until my diarrhea symptoms subsided. Hey folks, I am not giving medical advice in this video. I'm only showing what I would do in an emergency grid down situation. So if you try anything that you see in these videos, you're doing it at your own risk. So if you like this video where I quickly showed you step by step how to make this natural medicine, then comment down below with other elements that you would like to see natural medicines made for, because I'm going to be doing plenty more of these types of videos. And to see more videos on how to make natural medicines for different ailments, then click on the playlist that should be appearing on the screen just about now, and this playlist is going to be growing as I film more of these videos. Anyways folks, this is enough internet for me today. I do need to get back to work, and folks, if you made it this far, hey, thank you very much for watching, and I pray that you have a good night.